What's up, everybody? Welcome to Zero Doubt Podcast. We got another good one today. It's going to be deep, but it's going to be, it's going to be fun, right? We're gonna go on this spiritual ride with Collin, my buddy, good friend, client, who we're going to talk about Dark Night of the Soul. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that. Maybe some of you have even experienced it. I know I have. I know Collin has. And we're going to talk about an ego death. What is an ego death? What does it mean after the fact in your experience? Because everyone has their own experiences. So yours is definitely going to be different than someone else's. But, hey, we're here listening to this podcast to hear experiences and pick something up that's going to benefit us on this journey. What's up, man?
Good to see you, man. We're going to talk about all kind of good stuff. We're going to talk about the universe, God, spirituality, the soul, who you are, the ego, death, love, what that is, relationships, and why people do what they do, and and that we're all having our own unique, individualistic experience. 100%. There is no right or wrong.
100%.
There is no agree or disagree.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
but before we go there, you didn't always think like this, right? You had a different kind of mentality, belief system. Let's say, like, okay, you and I, we both played poker together. So let's go back to that point in your life. Like, compare the two. What was going on then?
We have to go back way further than that, though.
All right, let's do it.
So,
childhood?
Every person, up until about the age of 7 or 8, it's clinically proven and studied now, right? That up until that age, you are taking in all of the things from your external experience. You have a family. You're part of a religion. You're part of a school, right? You're part of this society, this paradigm. Mm-hmm. And what's happening is, the way your brain works, you're being programmed. You're being programmed by all the things in your experience, right? And now at the age of 7 or 8, you start to form a personality and an ego and a way that you present yourself to the world based off of your family structure, your religious structure, your societal structure, your school structure, your friends. Oh, my friends want me to do this, or this person wants me to do that. So people start to behave in ways that they think they're supposed to behave, and they create a false sense of self, which is your ego, right? Which wants to be in charge and tries to steer your life, right? So that's why you'll come across people in your life who they're not like they answer you a certain way and answer another person a different way in the same question. That's because they're trying to align themselves with who's across from them. They're trying to answer the questions the right way, right?
And why are we doing that?
Because we're programmed in this society to do that.
To fit in.
Right, you're taught. I'll give you a really good example. Like, for example, have you ever seen a mother with their child, and they're in a store, and the kid's jumping around and playing and dancing, and the mother goes, "Don't do that. We don't act like that."
Right, because
now that mother doesn't even know that what she just did was instilled this foundation in the kid that it's not okay to jump around and dance and have fun, and don't be you. Right.
You got to be like everyone else in the grocery store.
So we're taught to fall in line like everyone else. We're taught to not be yourself, right? From a very, very early age. Right?
Yeah, we're taught to not be ourselves.
And your parents are only doing that to you, right? Because it was done to them.
They don't know they're doing it.
They don't know they're doing that, right? So
okay, so that's where it all starts.
Sure, and then by the time you're 30, it's proven as well. Everybody has a hardened set of beliefs of how they think the world's supposed to be. So whether those are religious, political is a big one, right?
Yeah.
And then their life is guided by those hardened set of beliefs.
Yeah, and it's really hard to change them.
Very hard to change them. So much so that I think sometimes it has to be a kind of forced situation. So you'll hear people say, I had a midlife crisis, or people that had a near-death experience, or went through some disease, or a very close family member dies. They go through these traumatic experiences, right? And then something starts to happen to open them up to, this isn't really who I am. I've been trying to please other people my whole life. I've been trying to be what society said I'm supposed to be. I'm trying to align myself with what society says success is, right? And I think if a lot of people are honest with themselves, if you look back on those times in your life, right? Like, you keep hitting dead ends. And they feel empty, right? They don't have a sense of purpose, or what is it for? Like, I've made a lot of money and lost a lot of money multiple times in my life, right?
Me too.
well, I had no sense of accomplishment or purpose.
Yeah, I won a
through that.
tournament, big tournament, and it's like a week later, so
Who
what?
cares? Right?
I'm
'Cause
not
it's
any
just,
happier.
It's just money, right?
I'm not any happier. I could just
Right.
buy a couple more things.
So it's like, why you see this all the time? You see like these super rich people, like, oh, the guy killed himself. Like they found him in his Ferrari.
Yeah,
dead.
I always share the story about this. Must have been like 5 years ago. The CFO of Bed Bath & Beyond, worth like $30 million, jumped off of his high rise. Suicide.
Not happy. So, but why are they not? What happens is people can't drop the veil. They can't drop that mask that they've portrayed themselves to be. There's a bunch of people that think, oh, this is who this person is. And that's how they're accepted or loved or whatever the case may be. So they continue to try and put that up, that act up, right? So if you ever think of the word depression, your body needs to have deep rest because you can't continue to play the story, to play the character that you've put out to the world. Now, lucky for me, when I was, let's see, I'm 50 now, right? So when I was 46, I had this traumatic experience happen where I guess the way I will say it is God presented itself to me, right? God found me, I didn't find God, right? So this thing happened, this earth-shattering experience, right, that sparked the death of my ego, which is what we call the dark night of the soul.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. So,
Sure.
like, what was this experience?
So I went through a really bad breakup with somebody that I cared about, loved. Now, this was like not a normal breakup. Like this was somebody that I knew was like, oh, like this is the person. Like this is my, because I wasn't looking for somebody, and that we just kind of stumbled into each other, right? And it was like this most amazing, free-flowing. I could always just, we could be ourselves around each other. Anyways, I had this breakup with this person, and it was earth-shattering. Like I don't know what else was going on, right? So it didn't make sense to me because, we've all been through breakups in relationships, right? After a while, a month, 2 months, 3 months, something like that, typically people are like, okay, right, we're moving on. Like, this was not like that. Like, I was curled up in a fetal position in a ball, crying in my room, not knowing what's going on, thinking I'm going to die, can't function at work.
Wow.
And all the time that's happening, there's other things taking place where I'm starting to see things in a different light. Things are being revealed to me differently. I'm starting to understand that this life, as it's been presented to us and taught to us and shown to us, most of it's just a lie.
So as you're in this state of depression, not going anywhere, doing anything, sitting at home, sleeping, whatever, you're realizing this, everything that we just talked about with the false self, the creation of it.
Yeah, that's what's starting to take place. Now, along with that, what else is taking place is that all of a sudden I found myself, I had multiple situations. Like, for example, I had to work a job where I had to go to the office like 2 days a week, and I worked from home 3 days a week. I get to the office, I couldn't work. I couldn't function at work. Like, I was physically breaking down. Like, I would just have fits of crying. Like, I found myself, I was at home doing laundry one day, and I fell on the floor on my knees and just started crying and said, I'm sorry. And started saying out loud, I'm sorry to everybody I've ever done anything, like, terrible to.
Wow.
Like, anybody that, like, I've lied to, cheated on, stolen from, all this, whatever,
just came out of nowhere.
It was just purging and purging and purging, So I had multiple experiences of that over the course of, it lasted about 9 months or so that was happening. But one of the things that I do know that is, part of what happens in our transformational journey is at some point in time, when God has a different purpose for you or a higher calling for you, you will be isolated. And what happened to me was, as I was going through this, everybody that I was friends with started falling away. All my, the friend circle that I ran with, people that I played poker with and those kind of things, and my best friend that I was best friends with for, 15 years, all these people started falling out of my experience, right? And that was a grave realization for me of my life's going through this transformation. Something different is happening. And this was also happening at the same time where I was really starting to understand and believe that, whatever's for you can never pass you by. You don't have to fight and cling and hold on.
So after you kind of shed some of this for 9 months, you were starting to get these other realizations and thoughts.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's 9 months. I don't really have a time where I'm like,
right.
That's over now. You know what I mean? It's so It's this gradual process of what I call, like, to me, it was like the peeling back of an onion.
Yeah.
Like a layer comes off, and then a layer comes off of your programming, right? And I tell people, this doesn't happen to everybody, I'm sure, in each incarnation that you have, right? But I always tell people, like, when we get into these conversations, which sometimes I don't have them because other people aren't able to receive the conversation, right? They're not on the same wavelength with what you're saying, or whatever. But we all have a purpose, right? And what's been revealed to me through this whole experience, through the ego death and the things that have happened, is we are here to be of service to others. Now, God will reveal that path to you, and the way you know you're on the path is when you don't see any path in front of you, when there are no steps, right? And then we can get into conversations about how you create then and manifest, and right, because that's all comes with all of this, right? But like for me, it's like I started to realize, like, I have a greater purpose on this planet, right? And as that happens, now you have like all these earthly things that you've done and behaviors and habits and things. So for me, it was gambling, drinking, and I wasn't like a big like alcoholic or anything, but I socially drank a lot, and I stopped for a while, and then I started again for a while. And these things come into your awareness to teach you. So to show you, like, oh, you're saying you want to live this kind of life, you want to do these things, but yet you're doing these behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
My behaviors are not aligned with what I'm saying I want for my life.
So
right?
that happened.
Yeah, that's all part of it, right?
Okay.
It's all this like, and mind you, none of this is linear.
Right.
Right? Like we like to think of things in terms of things being linear, being a straight line. Like this tells you your life isn't a straight line, right? So like it's easier for our brain to process step 1, step 2, step 3. Oh, that's my goal. Here's the 10 things I got to do to get there, right? I don't work like that. I have a goal. I know as soon as I think about it and I say it out loud, I've created it.
Yeah.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue. I can't remember what Bible verse that is. Right? It might be Habakkuk 2:2. No, that's not Habakkuk 2:2. Either way, life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yeah, that's part
Once
of
you say it, you've
right?
created it.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, I say things, put it into creation, and then I allow God to give me inspiration into my intuition through my meditation.
Right.
And I get a feeling of like, oh, email this person. Oh, call this person.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with you.
Yeah.
Like you and I talked for what? A year and a half, and you kept trying to get me to come here, and I'm like, okay, yeah. Wasn't ready, and then I was meditating one day, and I was like, gotta go to the gym. Like, it just came out of nowhere, you know?
And now you've been here for, what, over a year?
Yeah, a little over a year now. Wait, it's over a year. It's like 15
you lost
months.
a lot of weight, too. So.
Well, I lost a ton, gained some back, and now I'm losing some again.
Okay.
But I went through, we go through these patterns, you should never beat yourself up. Like, if you do good at something for 6, 7, 8 months, and then you fall off the wagon, so to speak, or whatever, that has to happen.
It's part of the journey, right?
It's part of it. Like, you have to embrace all of that,
So that's very, that's a big one for people who are listening, that it's okay. Don't beat yourself up. If you're in a point in your life where, like, you're not doing as well as you want to, it's part of your journey. You don't know what's ahead. There might be a quantum leap.
Oh, 100%. Like, the only reason why you feel bad about something is because you have some sort of expectation of how it's supposed to be.
That's it, expectations.
Don't set expectations for anything.
Don't set expectations.
For anything. Now, you should expect...
But goals are different.
In a sense. See, okay, so I'll put it to you this way. I think you can set a goal and say, that's what I want to do, or that's what I want to achieve. Achievement's a real terrible thing that we utilize to measure in this lifetime on this earth.
Because then when we don't achieve, it's an assumption we made that we're going to achieve. We didn't achieve, so we beat ourselves up.
Of course, because you set an expectation. It's okay to have a goal. Like, I have a bullseye of some stuff, right, that's out there.
Yeah.
I don't have a bunch of defined steps of how to get there. Does that work? Can you do that? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. It's a grind, right? Like, think about it. Somebody who opens up their own business, right? You say, I want to open up this business. I want to do this. Now, you got to think of all these action steps and things you need to take, right? Yeah. I reverse engineer it. Yeah. I 100% believe in manifestation, meaning I can create whatever I want.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that because I've
didn't you create the position, the job that you're in right now?
The one across the hall?
The one across the hall?
Yeah.
Didn't you create
I did create that.
Because you were already working out here.
Correct.
Before you got that job.
Do you want me to tell that story?
Let's talk about that.
Right. Okay. So I was doing a bunch of different things, right, for income. I was playing poker a little bit, and I was doing this little side gig job that I had, but the side gig turned into like the full gig. Long story short, I lost about 70% of my income. So I had to, like, quote unquote, go back to a job for a while, right? So I sat down to meditate and pray, and I spoke to God, and I said, God, I want a job that is perfect for me, aligns all of my talents, a place that's going to, appreciate having me. At the same time, I need to be able to still go to the gym in the middle of the day, a couple of days a week, and I need something that's going to align perfectly with my life, right? That I can be successful at, that can be some, stability for me.
So you spoke that out.
I spoke it into existence and told God what I wanted. Kind of like I was at a McDonald's ordering off a menu.
Yeah.
Told God what I wanted.
Yeah.
So about a week after that, I went on to Indeed, and I saw 2 jobs on there that I was like, oh, those seem like they would fit me. So I applied for both of them. Now, the one said it was like confidential. So they didn't tell you the company or whatever, just described the position and whatnot.
Yeah.
So about a week after that, I get a call. This girl starts interviewing me over the phone, and I said, like, I could tell right away I was going to get offered the job. Like, the interview was, like, really good, And I said, okay, here's the thing. Like, something's really important to me. I said, I have to be able to go to the gym 2 days a week at lunchtime, and do my workouts and stuff. And she's like, oh, well, you just make your own schedule. As long as you get the work done, we don't care. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. She's like, but we have a gym in our office building. She's like, that you can use for free if you work here. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I said, where are you guys located? She said, Independence. I said, well, that's interesting. I said, my gym's in Independence. I said, what's your address? She says, 4141 Rockside Road. I said, that's my gym. So
Whoa.
Of all of the office buildings in Cleveland or Independence or the Cleveland area, right, how did I end up applying for only 2 jobs and getting the one in the same building?
Right.
That
Coincidence?
Coincidence? Well, that's the word we would like to use to explain it.
Yeah.
It's not coincidence.
It's you manifested it.
I manifested it. I
because
created
you spoke
that.
it out.
I spoke. Now, a lot of people go, well, if you did that, why don't you just create $10 million?
Yeah, what's the difference there?
Well, the difference is some of those things take a lot longer to manifest.
Right. So, like, you can have a vision, like, okay, here, I feel like I'm gonna have that $10 million, but it might take me 2-3 years to get there, right?
Well, yeah, it might take you 10 years to get there.
Might take me 10 years to get there.
You don't know. The problem with it is most people will, if you can even get them to the place where they go, oh, yes, I'm so thankful and grateful, universe. Thank you, universe, for delivering this $10 million to me.
Yeah.
As soon as they say that, or within a short time frame of it, they'll start thinking about,
where is it?
I'm not going to get that.
It hasn't come yet.
Good
I
things
didn't
don't
hit this
happen
lottery
to me.
ticket.
Good things
so
don't happen to me. I'll never have $10 million.
So when you think that, you
pinch
just
it
get
off.
more of that, obviously.
100%. You'll get
If
more
that's
of
the
that
way manifestation works.
100%. You have to be absolutely, completely delusional. Delusional. If you have any thoughts that, like, oh, that doesn't work. For example, I'll give you another.
Like I am a little delusional.
Yeah, you're supposed to be delusional. You're not supposed to, live this safe life.
Yeah, safe, strict.
Back into a corner. Have 6 months of savings in your bank account. Live your life this way. Have a plan. That's the worst fucking advice anybody could ever give you. Am I allowed to say the F word?
That's okay. We're allowed on this
one.
one.
All right. I didn't know if we were or not. The worst advice anybody could ever give you is have a plan B. The worst advice, have something to fall back on. The very idea that you even think that way, you're telling yourself, I'm not going to get to where I want to go. I'm not going to, or it's possible that I won't accomplish that, right? And the thing is, like, you can't worry about what everybody else does or says or thinks about what you're doing. That's why when you have a great idea about something or what you want to do for your life, don't share it with people. Don't put it on Facebook. Don't put it on Instagram. Don't go running around telling a bunch of people what you're going to do.
So I should get off of Facebook and Instagram.
No, you shouldn't. I'm just saying, don't tell them what you want to do. You know why? There's enough people out there who don't want good things for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they will poo-poo the energy on what you're trying to do because they don't want to see you come up.
Because they don't believe they can.
They don't think it's possible for them, so they don't want anybody else to have it.
But it is possible for them.
Of course it is. They just don't know
What do they need to do? What's the first step?
They need to reprogram their subconscious mind. They're subject to their programming. Everything we just talked about from the time up until 7 years old, and then from 7 to 30, they form their beliefs.
And this needs to be done daily.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of different
Preferably
things
in the morning as a morning routine to start off.
Well, I have a morning routine that I utilize every single day that helps me.
What is it?
Start every single day.
Okay, great.
I do a thing called VAMP. I visualize, I affirm, I meditate, and I pray. Meditating and prayer are kind of the same thing. And I don't
in
do
the
them,
morning, that's
and
what
I
you
don't do them in that order, actually. I wake up, I drink a glass of water, I pray, and then I meditate, right? Then after I'm done with those things, when I'm in this meditative state, I start to visualize. I visualize what I want my life to look like, where I want to be.
Every day you're visualizing
every single day.
What you want your life to look like today or in general.
Whenever it happens.
Whenever it happens,
Right.
just like this is what
I have I have a vision of like a house that I love or whatever, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
or a car that I want to be driving, or what I want to be doing to serve other people in the world, right? And what that looks like to me, right? So I have these visualizations, and then I use affirmations, and I say things out loud every single day.
Yeah.
You know, I say, I'm healthy, I am wealthy, I am abundant, I am successful, I am peace, I am love, I am joy. I am 215 pounds. I am a multimillionaire. I am divinely guided. You know what I mean? I say all of these things, and I say it over and over every single day, right? Those things start to come to fruition. They're not all going to happen tomorrow, right? But
you've heard of Neville Goddard, obviously, right? Yeah. So you have to feel it, right? I just listened to one of his YouTubes. It was great. You have to feel it. You have to feel like you already have it in order to get it.
You must live in the feeling of fulfillment.
Because we're energy, so we have to vibrate this energy in order for other energy like that to come into our space.
Correct.
So if you want $10 million, you have to vibrate like you have $10 million.
The crazy thing that it's hard for people's mind, their brain, because so many people are served, their mind is the master, not the servant, right? Mm-hmm. So their mind tells them stories and narratives of how things are. So if you constantly feel like, oh man, how am I going to pay the bills this month? How am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to pay the credit card bills? You're going to continue to draw that energy of how am I going to do it to yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas it's actually reverse of that, right? You have to just know, well, I'll pay what I can.
Yeah, it'll take care of
itself. I'll pay
itself.
what I can.
Yeah.
It'll take care of itself.
So it's really boils down to just having faith.
Well, walk by faith, not by sight.
Yeah.
If you look out into your world, I realize that this existence right here in front of us, this is created from past thoughts of other people.
Sure. This building, everything, this street.
Correct.
This was created, let's say 50 years ago or something,
5
right?
minutes. Could have been five days ago.
Yeah.
For that bag, I don't know where it came from.
Yeah,
but all of these things were an idea and a creation, right, in thought. So if you look out into your current reality and allow that to change your inner state and your being and feeling of how you feel about who you are, you'll continue to allow things external to you to drive how you feel, right?
And you'll have more of those external things that are around you.
And it keeps that system going,
so if you want a Malibu beach house, then you have to pretend like you already live there.
Well, it's not even like pretending.
Or you just have to be delusional, like we said. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So to me, one of the most key important things about it is you have to feel good about who you are and not let that be determined by any other person or your current circumstance, right? Like, if you don't have any money, you can't feel bad about that. Right. Like, and I just use money because that's a big one for people, right?
Yeah.
Relationships, another one.
So when you feel bad you don't have money, you're really in a victim mindset.
Correct. And you're creating that to happen
and you'll
continuously.
have more of it.
And that's because we can really get down the rabbit hole here, right? But like, to me, the entire universe that you're seeing, every person, place, and thing, is a reflection of you. Mm-hmm. So if you're angry or upset and you go out into the world, somebody's going to cut you off. You're going to get in an argument with somebody at the grocery store, right? Where if you love yourself, and it takes a while to get there, but when you love yourself, because I know that the love that I have for myself is not determined by what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, because you've shed the programming that was operating under that before.
Correct.
You just let it go.
Right.
So it's no longer in your field, your aura, your energy.
Oh, it still comes in.
Well,
because we live in this world.
Yeah.
But I'm just aware of it, right? And I don't let those things dictate how I feel.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, other things that I do. When I go to sleep at night, I have a YouTube playlist that I fall asleep to, right? Neville Goddard's on that YouTube playlist as well. I love Neville Goddard. Yeah. I've been studying Neville Goddard for the last couple of years. But there are things that you can listen to reprogram your subconscious mind. The 10 most important minutes of your day, or 20, I should say, probably at least, the first 10 or 15 in the morning, and the last 10 or 15 at night.
Right.
If you sit down, if you lay down to go to sleep and go,
so don't watch,
oh God, I gotta pay bills, I gotta
don't
go
watch
to work
like
tomorrow.
a true crime show before going to bed.
Don't
Probably
do that.
Not a good idea.
Don't do. No, I mean, when you're getting ready to go to bed, there should be a ritual. You know what I mean? Like you know what most people are doing.
Sage.
You know what most people are doing? or on their phone,
compare.
right?
Yeah, this person's got that.
You're
This
doing an
person
argument with
looks
somebody
better
or
than
whatever.
me.
The last 15 minutes
I'm
of your
never going
day,
to be this person, and then
right? The
it's
last 15
programmed
minutes
in your
of your
mind,
day,
and you wake up with those kind of thoughts. Life's a
you're
drag
going
now.
off to slumber, and you're resting off to sleep. Most people are laying there going, "Oh God, today was awful. I got to go to work tomorrow. I got bills to pay. My girlfriend hates me. Blah blah blah. She's a bitch." And all these things, and then they go to sleep. Well, what do you think you're going to marinate on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The last 15 minutes of your day needs to be filled with love and joy and compassion and kindness for yourself.
So the first 10, 15 minutes in the morning and the last 10, 15 minutes before.
Well, for me, it's the first hour in the morning. But
yeah. Well, however much time, just start, basically. If
do something.
Do something. But morning and night. And I agree with that 100%.
Meditation saved my life. Meditation is the most important thing I can do every day. And a lot of people say, well, I don't know how to meditate. I can't meditate. I can't turn my thoughts off.
What do you say to someone?
Well, it's not about turning your thoughts off. None of us can stop thinking, right?
Right.
Don't think of a bird. Don't think of a bird. What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking of a bird right now.
Thinking happens. You're not in control of it. Thought happens.
Yeah.
You are not in control of it, right? Most people think, oh, I have these thoughts. They're not yours. There's a collective consciousness of thoughts. People are thinking a certain way, right? And I'll just use this because it's recent, the recent election. You had half the country thinking this way and half the country thinking this way. So you're picking up on that energy from everybody else.
For sure.
That's where your thoughts are coming from, right? Think, because how else can you explain this? You're sitting there like getting ready to make dinner and you're peeling a potato or something, right? And you're like, oh, I remember that dentist appointment I had 3 years ago. Well, where the fuck did that come from and who thought of that? Where did it come from and who thought of it?
Someone else. I don't know.
Is it you? Are you the thought? No, you're the one who's aware that you're having the thought.
You're the one who's aware of the thought,
You're
right?
the observer.
But we buy into the thoughts, and the thoughts become us.
Well, because if you're living in that life of being programmed, which, like I said, 99% of people...
But we're all programmed, so how do you're saying through meditation, it changed your life because you were able to now observe these thoughts and separate yourself.
And it wouldn't but I didn't make the choice to do it. God chose me. God said, "Okay, it's enough." God's like, "I've been nudging you enough. I've been trying to push you enough."
Because of your dark night of the soul, and
it was forced upon.
Yeah, it was forced upon you.
It's what I call a forced spiritual.
But maybe at the same time, it was just you were just ready for it too.
Sure. No, I just think there's a lot of things. It can't happen until you're ready for it.
Yeah.
But even if you haven't gone through some sort of forced spiritual awakening and some crazy thing that's happened in your life, right? There are still life hacks that we can use.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. The morning routine, the meditation. Meditation helps because you can observe these thoughts that you're having and you can decide consciously, free will, I don't want to buy into them anymore.
Right, because it's not you. It's not who you is. Who you is the soul, your energy.
Sometimes we need that space, though, to see the difference, right?
Sure. Like when I meditate, and this is what I started doing in the beginning when I first started, right? When I first started meditating, I could only meditate for like 10 minutes, tops.
Some people can't do a minute.
Right. So somebody told me to do is like close your eyes and just picture a train going by, and every car is a flatbed car. And every time you have a thought, just push the thought onto the flatbed car and let it go.
Okay, that's cool. I like that one.
That's what started it for me, right?
Like
that's
that
how
one.
and I will tell you, when I first started, it's getting in touch with who you really are at the core, which is love. All you are is love. And understanding that all we are is consciousness, right? That's all anybody is. You are consciousness. This chair is conscious. As I sat here and you sat there, part of you went into that chair and part of that chair went into you. Scientists can't
because
explain why.
it's not solid. If we look through the best microscopes, it's 99.999% space,
yeah,
right?
It's light. There's light transferring through. But those are like really deep conversations we can get into. But anybody can meditate. And I meditate about 45 minutes every morning now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do about 15 minutes of meditation, maybe 20 minutes at night before I go to bed.
Now, meditation is not just with your eyes closed, because I feel like I can get into a meditative state when I'm driving.
Well, I think most people are in somewhat of a meditative state when they're driving. Because you don't really think about where you're going, right? If you drove here, you didn't think about how to get here. You knew how to get here, right? That's kind of a meditative state. You can meditate when you walk. You can purposely meditate to there's a meditation called the do nothing meditation, where you stare at a wall.
Okay.
Turn off all your lights and stare at a wall for 45 minutes.
Fun.
Most people can't do it. They can't sit with themselves. Now, for me, I like to close my eyes and I like to put on a guided meditation and let it drift me off to wherever it drifts me off to. And interestingly enough, sometimes I meditate 20 minutes and I go, and I'm out of it. Like I just can't, for whatever reason.
You're done.
But I don't fight that, right?
Yeah.
The whole point of meditation is, for me, in my experience, is you will hear the voice of what we call God when you get quiet and still with yourself. Sit in your room in the dark with your eyes closed for 30 minutes. God will talk to you.
Yeah.
See, when you pray to God, right, I think I pray out loud. So I affirm it. I say things out loud like I'm having a conversation with God. You know how God speaks back to me? My intuition. Okay, so to me, you have two inner voices. You have this loud voice up here in the ego going, do this, do that, call that person, you got to do this.
Yeah.
Oh,
annoying little
you know what your ego
voice.
does? Your ego tries to tell you how to answer questions and do things to get the result that you want.
Assumptions.
Your intuition goes, hey. It whispers. It's soft.
Oh, yeah, it's way
not
quieter.
loud. Intuition is the voice of God speaking back to you.
It's quieter.
And then you say,
sometimes it's loud.
but you say this, like, oh, I want to do, I don't know, I want to own my own gym. Okay? Just since we're here, we'll use that.
Sure.
I want to own my own gym. And then God goes, hey, go for a walk in the woods. And you're like, huh? Like, what does that have to do, right, with me? Or the intuitive hit will be, hey, go to eat lunch at Panera Bread today. And you're like, I don't ever go to Panera Bread. Why would I go to a Panera Bread?
Yeah. Then you go to Panera Bread and you meet someone.
You don't question that.
Yeah.
You follow
You always
it.
listen to your intuition.
When the universe guides you, don't question it.
Yeah.
I never say no to the universe. Never, ever. And I'll give you a perfect story on this.
Okay.
It's a fantastic story.
All right.
So this past year in July, I don't know if you remember, I was doing a thing, 30 days of July, hiking 30 different trails that I've never hiked before.
I remember.
Right? And I was documenting this like on social media because it was just fun for me to do. So I go to hike in just outside of Bay Village. I can't remember the name of the park that's up on the lake there. I get up there and I'm like, oh man, I've hiked here before. Like 2 years ago, I'm like, I've hiked, so I can't do this one. It's like bad for my challenge, right? And I'm like, oh man, it's like 3, 4 o'clock. I'm like, where am I going to go? Like, I'm up by the lake. There's not a lot of places to hike. So I got my app out, my All Trails app, and I was looking. And there's like this trail that you can hike in Avon Lake that I had heard about and I'd never been to. And I'm like, oh, I'll go there. So I go to hike this trail, and I usually hike during the week 4 to 6 miles is kind of my standard, you know, and on the weekends I'll do a little longer sometimes. But I'm going through this hike, and it's kind of like this neat, like nature trail, like sandwiched in between these housing developments. But it's all wooded. So I guess this family from Avon Lake upkeeps it and keeps it like that so people have a place to take their dogs and go for walks. So anyways, really cool. You know, there's a lot of people out there, whatever. So I get done with the trail, and it's 3 miles, and I'm like, I never do 3 miles. Like, I always go at least 4. And I said, okay, I'll just keep going. And then something just told me, like, nah, you're done for the day. Just be done. And I'm like, okay. Like, I don't fight that, you know? So I walk over to my car, and I'm stretching out, and I'm like changing my shoes. And I hear somebody go, hey. And I look up to my right, and there's this woman with her dog walking towards me. And she's like, I like your necklace. I'm like, oh, thanks, you know? So she walks up towards me, and we start chatting, you know? She's like, are you on a... She goes, you look like you might be on some sort of a path. Are you on a path? I'm like a spiritual path? She's like, yeah.
A hiking path? Yeah, just ended.
Yeah. I'm like, a spiritual path? She's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I am. So we started talking. She's like, yeah, I kind of am too. So we started talking, right? And then we started talking about a spiritual teacher by the name of Ram Dass, who I love Ram Dass's teachings. The guy's phenomenal, right? And she's like, have you ever, you know, heard of Be Here Now, his book? And I'm like, yeah. I said, I have a bracelet right here that says Be Here Now. And she's like, oh, look at my tattoo that says Be Here Now.
Wow.
Right? Never walked here before. Wasn't planning on going there, right? But I didn't say no to the universe. So we continued to have this conversation. And she's like, yeah, this is really wild. She's like, about 2 weeks ago, she's like, I was meditating and I was telling God, like, you know, hey, I need more like spiritual friends, people who are like more aligned with like what my, you know, my path is or whatever. And then, you know,
boom, there you are.
Boom, there I am. So, and her and I are great friends now. And now
really?
every 2 weeks, her and I go to, every other week we go to a yoga studio in Berea where we do like a group meditation, which we just did 2 Saturdays ago. And man, I'll tell you, when you get in a group, if you've never done a group meditation, you need to do it. When you got 20 or 30 people all there, the energy from that, everybody collectively, kind of like wanting to be there for the same reason, my third eye absolutely was exploding. It was so wild, the energy. You can just feel it because everybody.
What was happening? It was just like cosmic.
I was having some sort of visions in my third eye. during the meditation and chanting process. You know what I mean?
That's
So,
pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty wild. But like I said, I don't say no to the universe. If I would have said, I'm not going there,
Yeah, none of that would have
I
happened.
never would have
You
met
wouldn't
her.
have been
I never would have met these other
Berea.
people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you just always, I
Just
let
be open.
I follow my bliss and my joy, and I let God and the universe guide me.
Nice.
Right? I allow myself to be guided. I don't have to figure it all out. And most of the time, there's really not a lot for you to figure out.
Right.
Like most things that happen, I sit there and I go, the beautiful part about the meditation is, prior to all this happening, I had a lot of, I guess the best way to say it is pent-up anger.
Mm-hmm.
I had traumatic things happen in my life. I was angry about things, right? But this allows you to go through that state of forgiveness and have grace for people, for everyone. I want everybody to win. I truly love everyone because I see everyone as a faction of me and me as a faction of them, right? So, like, it's really hard to explain to go from, like, hating someone and being angry at them or whatever to absolutely just loving them and having grace and compassion for them and me understanding, like, everybody's going through their shit.
Yeah.
Everybody's having their own experience.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with me. That's the thing. Most people take so many things personally, right? Like, I'll say, for example, like I was coming here today and some guy came from the far right lane to the far left lane and just cut everybody off. People are blowing their horns at him and flipping him off, and I'm just like, dude must be having a bad day. He's out of it. Like, we want, as humans, we want to assign malice. That people are doing things to us, right? Things are just happening, man.
Yeah.
People are just peopling, right? They're going through loss and they're going through divorce and financial hardships and all these other things are happening, but yet we want to attribute a person cutting us off in traffic as they did something to us.
Yeah, because we think we're the center of the universe
because
in that moment.
Because you're focused externally.
Yeah.
You're focused on what's going on out there and you're allowing what happens there to dictate how you feel here, right? I don't do that. I determine how I feel. It's up to me.
Yep.
It's a choice. It's a choice I make every day.
took-
Do I feel fantastic, amazing every day?
Yeah.
No. Do I feel fantastic, amazing 95% of the time?
Sure.
100%.
Yep.
You know why?
You took back your power.
I walk by faith, not by sight. I know that God's guiding me, right? And I know when I say the word God, lots of different people can get worked up about that or whatever, right? For me, I believe in what we call the infinite intelligence, the source, the one, the all, right? That's what I believe God is.
Yeah.
At the same time, right? I am a follower of Jesus Christ because I believe I am Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is me, and I had that revelation as well. I fell to my knees one day and I said, I am God and God is me. We are one. And part of our society, one of the big problems in our society is we've used organized religion and things of that nature to tell people you're separate from God. You're not separate from God, right? To me, there's no God. God loves everybody, right? So there's no judgment being passed on you. I'm not going to go up there. There's not some flying guy in the sky who's going to go, you get to go to heaven and you get to go to hell. I don't think that happens because my God is a God of grace and love and kindness and compassion, right? God's not going to send any of his children
love.
somewhere
There's nothing else.
Yeah, you
There's
are
nothing
love.
else.
What you are based in is your love. You are love. See, that's another great listen, we could talk for days.
Yeah.
Dude,
Did I tell you on my ayahuasca experience when I had left my body and already towards the end, the entire earth turned into a heart?
That's wild, man.
I'm like, what is this?
You're like, what is that?
It just
That
turned
is
into
amazing,
a heart.
man.
I was like, oh, so that's what you mean
it's
by
like-
everything is love.
So, and I'll get into that because I'll do real quickly because my whole experience started with this breakup, right?
Yeah.
I know that the whole breakup happened to teach me to love myself unconditionally, to not be codependent and rely on somebody else to get that love, to understand that the love that you feel with another person isn't coming from them. It's coming from you.
Yeah, it's inside. Your
So
body's
what
creating
happens-
that feeling.
Well, what happens is, because you are love, at your core. So what happens is we associate the love as coming from this person that broke up with me.
Into us.
That why when they're gone and they leave, now we feel, we're heartbroken.
The love goes away, right?
The love leaves because it's with them, but it's not.
It's not. You created inside
your internal
body.
state is love.
Yeah.
You don't even create it. You are it.
Yeah, we're born.
You are it.
Feeling
You're
it.
born of
Feeling
unconditional
it.
love.
Yeah.
So the idea then is, if you think about it, if your natural state of being is one of peace, calm, love, and joy, and you're experiencing that with another person, when you realize, yes, they can be feeling that way too. They can do nice things for you. You can do nice things for them, right? The love can be reciprocated, but it doesn't have to be for it to exist. That's another thing that we get stuck in our mind about
That's a big one.
what your taught love is. That if I do for you, you're supposed to do for me.
Yeah.
No, when you do for others, it comes back to you. It has to. It's a law of the universe. It has to. Karma says that it has to come back to you, and it will.
Yeah.
Now, we go, but I want it from them.
Yeah.
I want it from that person.
Mm-hmm.
They need to love me. And what you don't realize in that is you're suffering through an attachment to that person because they're helping you fulfill needs that you need to get met that you're not able to meet on yourself. That's why the breakup happens. That's why God isolates you, right? That's why God puts you away.
Free you from an attachment that no longer
you need to be
needs
free
to
from
serve you in
that,
this time.
And that's one of the hardest things to.
That's hard. It's a very
Well,
hard one. A lot of people go through
I'm
that.
studying a lot right now about there's a big difference between practicing non-attachment or detachment too.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people become attached to others because they think that they don't realize the love's coming from them. So, with that said, when you get to a place where you realize, I am the love, and I love myself, and I love who I am, and I can love any experience that I have, your mind is what will say that was good or that was bad. Nothing's good or bad inherently until you think about it.
Yeah.
You're going to place a label on it as good or bad.
Right.
Or I liked it or I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case
Then
may
a year
be.
later, that bad is now a good.
Right.
What
That's-
happened there?
A lot of
Why
people
is
have
things,
epiphanies.
why are things different
They're like,
now?
oh, thank God that happened. I broke up with this
when
person.
I tore my bicep, I thought it was the worst day, and it ended up starting this whole journey.
We
So
oftentimes reflect back on it and go, oh, well, if that never would have happened that way,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here
Yeah,
now.
if you went to the wrong trail, you wouldn't have met your good friend now that you guys do group meditations for, and you just opened up your third eye and had a great experience.
Yeah.
So it's all like we shouldn't judge a present moment as good or bad
No,
because we don't know. We don't have the big picture.
You should accept the present
We should
moment
accept it
as if you chose it.
as if you chose
Now,
it.
I have
right.
people say to me, well, what if I get stabbed? I didn't choose that. And I'm like, on a higher level, you
Yeah,
did
you might have. Who
choose
knows?
it.
Yeah.
Because I really believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that everything that you're going through, you created that for yourself before you came here. And now it's just being replicated back to you. And every single time you come across a person in your experience, they are your mirror. These people are your greatest teachers. All they are doing is reflecting your energy back to you. And what I mean by that is, if you believe that we're all one, if you believe in the law of one, which a lot of people don't. They think there's just a bunch of random people bouncing around out here. All you and I are doing right now is, my energy is coming through you and being reflected back to me.
Yeah.
The whole universe
Well, there would be no podcast
it's a mirror.
without that.
It's a mirror.
Yeah.
So when I feel like shit, right, and I'm angry and I got a complaint list a mile long, and I go out in the world and I go to Dunkin' Donuts or I go to work, I'm going to experience other people having that same experience because it's being reflected back to me. The universe gives.
And even if they're not even if they are happy, you're going to view them as something that's going to make you unhappier.
Correct. Every single time you look at, and I always use people because it's the easiest, right? We have all these interpersonal relationships with people. When you look at someone and go, man, I don't like them. Ooh, this irks me about them. That is the moment for you to stop and realize
what's going on inside.
What's going on inside of me.
Yeah.
Because when you are quote unquote triggered, because I always have these conversations with my daughter, and she gets really mad at me, so we don't have them anymore, right? But when you say to yourself, so and so made me mad, they didn't make you mad. You're in charge of your emotions. It's on you if you get angry. If you choose to respond to a situation with anger, that's on you. Now, if you're not choosing in the moment to respond, and that just happens, and you're being triggered, that means you have unhealed trauma inside of you. You are the way you are because of something that happened in your past. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean you are your past, because a lot of people have suffered terrible traumatic things, and they did the best they could to get along, right? But when you get triggered in the moment, right, it's not about the other person. Mm-hmm. They're your mirror. Yeah. They are there to reflect to you, hey.
And that gives you an opportunity there to bring a better, higher level of awareness into that moment and do some reprogramming.
Right. Say to yourself, why am I getting upset? Yeah. Where's that coming from?
That's where it comes. This
you know
is an opportunity. So you brought this healing in. You're not angry at this person. Now, you brought this in, or God brought this in for you as an opportunity to heal yourself.
Yeah. And it's never about the other person. The other person's there to help you. But we want, because of our programming, We don't want to take responsibility for things either. It's easier for us to go, it's their fault. They did it.
Yeah.
They did this, which made my life
we're
worse.
Used to it. We're used to that.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's not how it really works. Because I'm telling you right now, if you have someone, again, I always use relationships because it's easiest to relate to, right? If you have somebody that's cheated on you, right, and you break up, and you say, oh, I don't know what it is, I always get cheated on, you're going to attract the same energy back to you.
You just said it. Yeah, exactly.
Again,
we talked about
so
that.
I know a person, right, who I'm not really close to anymore, but I was. She would break up with a guy and then date another guy, and it was literally the same dude with a different face. Treated her the same way because that's how she treated herself.
Yeah.
If you treat yourself like shit, you will attract people into your life who are going to reaffirm that for you, and they will treat you like shit. And you're going to go, well, I get treated like shit all the time. It's because you don't take care of yourself. It's hard for people to get to a place where they sit in calm and quiet and meditate, talk to God, and start to love themselves for who they are, and not allow what other people, their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, their cousins and their uncles and their aunts, and whoever else, and their boyfriends and their girlfriends and their husbands and their wives, stop worrying about what all those people think. They're not living your life. Your life is for you. You know what I mean? You have to love yourself, and it's hard to do. It's hard to get to a place where you love yourself unconditionally.
Yeah.
I love every version of me that's ever existed. The one that lied, I don't lie anymore, ever, about anything to anyone. It's not worth it. The one that cheated, wouldn't do that ever again. The one that stole, would never do that again. Like, I've done all those things.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't regret them. I don't regret them.
It's part of getting here.
It's part of getting to where I'm at, right?
Here. That's it.
And I unequivocally,
that's it.
I love myself.
Yeah.
I know I'm a great human being. Not good. I'm a great human being. My energy's pure. I'm authentic. I'm genuine, and real. The problem is most of our world, it has a mask on, and they're portraying themselves to people. So you got a bunch of people out there trying to do that with each other, right? And people go, I don't know if you've ever seen this.
We're just colliding with other.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen this. Like, people are like, oh, dating in 2024 is absolutely train wreck. Well, of course it is. You got a bunch of people out there trying to portray to other people who they aren't. Now, what in my experience, a lot of people think I'm fake. They think this is an act because they can't imagine a world where somebody is actually joyous and loving and carefree and loves themselves. I'm not trying to sell you nothing. I am who I am. Who I'm not, I will never be. This is me. And we either vibe or we don't. And if we don't, it's cool. I love you, and I wish you nothing but the best. You know what I mean? And there are people that come across, you'll come across in your experience where I have a few people where I'm like, I love you, and I want you to do well, but like when we are intertwined, I don't like what you do, and I don't like how you treat me, so I want you to eat. You just can't eat at my table.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay to set those boundaries, man. But you got to love it all starts with you. You have to love yourself first. If you don't love yourself, who else is going to love you?
That's true. So start a morning routine, start a bedtime routine. We have the power to undo all of this and live in a state of joy, peace, and serenity.
Stop being externally focused. Stop looking out there for the answers. Stop. Maybe this is what some people want to hear. Stop looking for a coach or a podcast or a book. Those things are all great. Don't let those be the source of what you're trying to do to answer the questions, right?
Yeah.
You have every answer to every question you have within you. Because when you ask it in stillness and calm and quiet and peace and love, and you ask it to God, God will answer, always. And just so you know, every time I talked about God here, it has nothing to do with religion.
Yeah.
That's another topic for like another day.
We'll save it. No, we'll end this podcast here with what you said. And man, we'll come back on and we'll talk about some of the other stuff. Thanks for being on here, man.
Thanks for having me, man. It was fun.
See ya. Thanks guys for listening.